Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How are we all doing on this Wednesday morning? This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 19th of November, 2025 at 11 a.m. UK time. We are dual streaming live on youtube.com/Reganelite and on twitch.tv/Reganelite1. Good morning to you all. It might not be morning for some of you, but for those who are, hope you had a good Monday and Tuesday. We are in the hump of the week, which means that we are at the halfway point to the weekend, guys. We are halfway there. Let me say hello to those in the chat, and for those who are new, I will let you guys know what we normally do on this live stream here. Matty Von Erich, good morning to you. Hope you are doing well. Person Impersonator, good morning to you. Stephen Banker, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Billy Kershaw, good to see you. Hope you are doing well. Indy Duck, good to see you there. Bringing the ducks, as always, to the party. Hope you are doing well. Alison Keir, one of our moderators, good morning to you. Hope you are doing well there. And anybody else who may be lurking in the chats. So just for those who don't know, we normally go for an hour and we give the day's daily quota. We have a look at the weather report, which is a fascinating one to say the least there. And we'll see what the weather is today, tomorrow, and the next couple of days to kind of give ourselves a bit of an indication of what the weather is going to be like coming forward. And then we'll have a look at the news. Now, normally on Wednesdays, I've been doing a lot just specifically world news, but I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to do world and UK news. So I'm going to kind of mix it in between today, because I think we should keep touch of what some of the stories that are happening as well. And also, I may do PMQs straight after this show, guys. I might just go straight into Prime Minister's questions here, straight after the show, possibly. It depends. I know not everyone's keen on Prime Minister's questions, but it is a possibility that I may do as well. It's kind of something that I've set up as an option if I want to keep going, and if I do want to watch Prime Minister's questions along with you guys, because I know some people do like my coverage of Prime Minister's questions, and I did stop doing that. So if you guys want me to go straight into Prime Minister's questions, I can understand some people leaving after it, but we are going to go for an hour at least. That's guaranteed, guys. So, before we get started, Jeanette, good morning to you. Hope you are doing well. And Peter, thank you so much for the £2 super chat. Some nuts for the party. Thank you for the nuts. Unfortunately, I'm not a nut person. I'm not a fan of nuts myself, but I hope those who do like them enjoy them. But thank you for the £2 super chat. I really, really appreciate it. And Aliston there with a £2 super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. With the cold emoji, freezing emoji, but sunny. But now 4 degrees for Ollie. He's very, very angry. If only I had a little tiny little snow hat to put him on. That would have been really, really nice indeed. Okay, guys, let's have a look at today's daily quota. Here it is. Here is today's daily quota. Just a reminder that you can see these on the Discord community. Every day I put these on the Discord community, as well as on social medias. I put it on Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, even on my own personal Facebook. I post them every morning across the social medias. So if you don't catch them here, if I'm here on the Good Mornings, you can always find them there as well. The only reason why I don't put them on the community tab post is because of the size difference from the photo that I take to putting it on YouTube. If there was a simpler and quicker way to do it, I would. But I don't want to faff about too much with this, to be honest, which is a bit annoying for the community tab post. Because it would be nice for me to just simply take a picture of this and then literally post it every morning on YouTube, the YouTube community post. But I can't do that, unfortunately, because it has to adjust the size, which is annoying. But here is today's one, guys, and it's an unknown one. So, if you want to touch the past, touch a rock. If you want to touch the present, touch a flower. And if you want to touch the future, touch a life. Let me read that again one more time. So, if you want to touch the past, touch a rock. If you want to touch the present, touch a flower. And if you want to touch the future, touch a life. It's a very lovely one. An interesting one indeed. Tomorrow's one's a very powerful one as well. a very simple one, but a powerful one as well. Looking forward to mentioning that one tomorrow as well. Hope you guys found that one helpful to you today. Matti Von Eric with a third super chat, £2, with the third super chat of the morning here, saying 3 is a magic number. Thank you, Matti Von Eric, for the £2 super chat. Thank you so much. That's really, really kind of you. Thank you guys for the super chat so far. Really, really appreciate it. But yes, 3 is a magic number. No, I'm not going to be singing any more further than that, guys. Sorry. Right. What's the weather going, guys? Let's have a look at the weather then, shall we? So there's one word to describe it all. It is cold, guys. It is cold. You can have a look here. Oh, we can scroll a little bit further back, actually, if we just scroll back a little bit further here. Yeah, in comparison to other parts of the world there, it is cold. It's good to see, actually, temperatures across the world aren't really like, well, I was going to say not above 30, but then parts of Brazil is. But if you pretty much across the world there, most of it is definitely temperatures are down there. You can see. I said Canada is cold. Look at those temperatures. Look at those temperatures. -15 Yellowknife. I would not want to go. I don't know what that's like. I don't know. Oh my god, I cannot imagine -15, guys. Thought I shared that anyway with you guys. Right, let's go back to Europe. What's happening in Europe in terms of temperatures? It's on this side normally here. Yeah. So we've got Madrid 8, Lisbon 14, Rome is at 13, Nice is at 12, Terraria, I hope I said that right, is at 15 there, Istanbul 19 there, Bucharest 5 there, Zagreb 4, Vienna 4, Bern, of course, chilly 2, as you would expect, Prague, very cold, 0 degrees, Kiev, very cold, 0 degrees, Moscow there, 0 degrees, St. Petersburg, a -1, with lots of snow there, Minsk 1, Warsaw 1, Riga 2 there, Berlin 4, Oslo in Norway -4. Is cold indeed. Coming a bit more further in there, Brussels and Paris 4 and 4 degrees. They got some snow coming over in there in that parts of Europe there. You can see Sweden going to get in some nice snow as well there. Reykjavik a chilly 2 degrees there, as you would expect as well. So yeah, parts of Europe are experiencing the snow indeed, as is the UK, or specifically more Scotland, I would say more than anything here. This is for 6 o'clock here, just for reference to time zone, in case people are wondering. Here for today, Edinburgh, chilly 0, Belfast and Dublin 3 and 3 respectively there, Manchester 1, Cardiff 2 degrees, London 3 degrees there. We'll just zoom in a little bit there. We can see there are some rain showers around. I can tell you right now it is raining outside where I am. So you can, you'll see, it's literally pouring outside. I am still going to pop to the shops later on, because I do want to get out and about a little bit there. Looks like there might be a tiny bit of snow, tiny bit of sleet possibly falling down there in the southwest of England there. Looking at Wales here, south of Wales here, we can see some parts of the country of the Red Dragon at 2 degrees there, and some as chilly as 1 to -0 there. In parts, little bit of snow in some parts of the hilly mountain areas there as well. If we come across into the Midlands, there we can see most places 2 to 1 degrees, very chilly as well. Yeah, most parts of the east side here of England, we can see some shower heads dropping around here. Temperatures are 2 or 3 degrees, and you can see a bit more in the Midlands and a bit more in the Midlands and north there. Here on the east side of the country there, you can see some snow dropping there. Helenbridge 0 there, Preston 1, and some parts of northern England here dropping as low as -1, as we see if we go further up into the south, from the north of England into the south of Scotland here. We can see temperatures really dropping to -1, a little bit more chilly. Well, I say roughly around about the same. 0-0 Glasgow and Edinburgh there, Dunbar 3 there, Bridgend 1 there, Oban 3 there, and we can see parts of Scotland with experiencing some snow later on, or some may be experiencing it right now as we speak. Dundee 1, Stonehaven 2 there, Aberdeen 2 there, and we can see the snowstorm that we've been looking at and forecasting that is coming, and we can see it's slowly coming down from the north into the country here. So yeah, very, very chilly indeed. Plenty of snow to build a snowman up there, I'm sure, guys. just 2 sneezes there, but I caught one. I didn't catch the other one though. I thought it was coming on. I wouldn't walk on the slippery pavement today. No, normally what I do when it snows, is I walk on the road, or I look very carefully at the road, at the floor in front of me, and I look at how slippery or not slippery it is. I have to make a judgment decision of whether or not. If I headed to the shop now, 3/4 miles, I'll be back in 4 hours. 4 hours if I survive that. I'm very lucky to have. We're very lucky to have shops literally just 5 minutes up the road from where we are. I don't have to go to the shops, but the reason I'm going is because I do want to get some fresh air today. I'm not planning to do a full walk today, for me personally. So moving into later on into the Wednesday night here, we got that sleet and snow still coming around. So parts of the UK still going to be experiencing rain and showers. There's some of that sleet and snow in Northern Ireland and Ireland as well. You can see there 2 and 1 degrees again there. We go overnight into Thursday tomorrow. You see temperatures are still going to be remaining very chilly. There are still going to be parts that are still going to be snow falling in some parts of the UK, mainly in Scotland, but parts of Midlands and north of England there. But moving into Thursday morning into midday there, we can see some of those rain showers are not really moving too much, but temperatures are still remaining very low here, pretty much all throughout the day. Temperatures, some parts, Cardiff reaching as high as 6 degrees there, so there is a bit of an increase in temperatures the next day, but not too much. Still going to be very, very cold there, as we would expect to go there tomorrow. Some showers, but not a lot, and a little bits of snow here and there. Moving from Thursday night into Friday morning there, temperatures are going to drop even more there into the next day there, and we can see, Thursday night is going to be it's going to drop even further, so it's even more colder there. So Friday morning, early Friday morning there, if we can have a look at the temperatures here, you can see, just for example, up in Scotland there, they're going to be negatives. They're going into the negatives there. So Wednesday night, guys, please wrap up. Please be aware it's going to be a lot colder, and it's going to be -1 in some parts of England even as well there overnight on Friday. So just be aware of the drop in temperature even more Wednesday night, guys. So yes, it's cold now, but it's going to drop a bit more that day. Going into the next day on Friday there, we can see those temperatures look like they're going to be staying roughly around about the same until about lunchtime, till the temperatures will rise back up again from Friday. So and then about lunchtime, but then they will drop back again into Friday evening there. Into Saturday overnight, those temperatures are not dropping again. So it looks like here. So temperatures look like they're going to drop significantly on Thursday night into Friday morning, but Friday night into Saturday morning temperatures won't be as bad. So there'll be a slight increase in temperatures there. You can even see here in Edinburgh, it's saying 4 degrees there in comparison to the night before where it's -1. So you will get an increase in temperatures. But also, as we can see here, overnight from Friday night into Saturday morning, we can see this rainstorm coming in. And it looks like this big blob of snow is going to be coming in to the north of England, it looks like there. Doesn't look like it's going to be any snow forecast in other parts there. Mainly some showers here and there. But I did say, there is going to be rain forecast over the weekend coming up. And you can see here, temperatures increasing a little bit there on Saturday night. But again, as I said, there is a lot of rain coming overnight here. It looks like there's going to be some snow. Some patches of snow is coming this weekend, even where I am, which is quite interesting. But looks like, some snow is coming on Sunday from the looks of it here. Early Sunday morning, we're getting rain and snow. Parts of Manchester, parts of Scotland there. Belfast's going to be experiencing it there. So it looks like we're going to be getting a bit of all of that on the weekend, guys. So just be aware it is coming. If it's not happening today, it's going to be happening a bit later on there as well. Let me just switch gears here. Right, let me just drink my drink for all of that. I used to sneeze twice every day, then 3 times now, therefore every time. Weird. I do sneeze every day, but I think it's more because I spend a lot of time in this room, and it's really important for me when I spend a lot of time in this room to step out of this room for my health and well-being, to step out of this chair. Sitting in the same chair for hours on end is not good for me, certainly not good for my health. That's one of the things that I'm trying to get into a routine of after I've done some series of work and whatnot, to get off this chair and go somewhere, whether it's even if it's just to the toilet or just doing a bit of work around the house before sitting back in this chair, to kind of keep sort of thing, I think is really, really important. Let us start with Al Jazeera before we go to the UK news here, guys. Like I said, I'm going to check if Prime Minister's questions is available, because I may still cover it here, guys. So, front of Al Jazeera, they've got multiple Israeli attacks on southern Lebanon, killed at least 14 people. This is the live update here. One person killed and many wounded in an Israeli attack targeting a vehicle in southern Lebanon. Another Israeli air attack yesterday on a Palestinian refugee camp in southern Lebanon killed 13 people. Israel's military has carried out several airstrikes in parts of southern Gaza's Rafka and Khan Yunis. This is the same thing. Remember, they have a ceasefire agreement with Lebanon, and the conflict is still continuing there as well. Right, floods, rains affect at least 17,000 families in Gaza, says UNICEF. The situation for family and children in Gaza remains catastrophic amid heavy flooding and severe rains. The Children's Fund UNICEF has said. In the last few days, Gaza's first winter storm is directly affecting an estimated 17,000 families. UNICEF spokesperson Ricardo Perez told journalists in Geneva. We are seeing heartbreaking stories of desperate families feeling completely lost and exhausted after their tents got flooded. Most of them have been displaced multiple times and lost everything in the past 2 years. When children are sleeping in flooded tents without warm clothes or dry beds, may be lacking the required nutrition with very low immunity and already traumatized by conflict, winter becomes extremely dangerous. Risks as hypothermia, respiratory infections, and death. Yeah, that sadly is an occurrence that can happen. It's really important to stress that for those who weren't on the live stream last night at the Global News live stream, which by the way is timestamped, people want to know. One of the key points that I made about why did the UN and why did it get the back? Why did Trump's deal, Gaza peace process deal, get the backing from international bodies, from the international organizations? Why did it get the backing of Western nations in particular? Overall protection, and my position is not because they believe in the plan. It's not because they care about Gaza. It's not because they care about Palestinian people. Some nations generally do. Some nations generally do, and you can name off the top of your head the nations that generally do. The main reason is, of course, is politics. The main reason is because of the politics. What do I mean by that? Well, we all know that many MPs lost their positions as a result of the conflict in Gaza. We know that it deeply affected the presidential election last year in the US, and I'm pretty sure that in most European countries, the divisive nature of the Gaza conflict obviously affected politics there as well. So basically, what I am saying is that the main thing is that the so-called political systems of Western nations do not want Gaza being a topic of discussion when it comes to being able to vote a certain way. And this is their way of basically trying to shove it behind the curtains and basically telling the mainstream media, stop talking about Gaza. Stop talking about it to the people. It's becoming a problem. We don't want protesters. We want people to basically move on from it. We want them to have the mindset of this. We've had a ceasefire. It's done. You can move on now. Stop talking about it. That's generally what they want. They want people to stop talking about it because they don't want it to be a subject on the doorsteps when it comes to elections, when it comes to voting. That's the gist of why they voted for the Trump deal. Not because they care about it, because the deal itself does not give Palestinians any real say about their future. Their future is still not in their own hands, which is why I don't expect Hamas to give up their weapons. And that context really, really matters. It's all about controlling the political narrative, and that's what they want to do, the system. What else is going on here? Bangladesh test after convicting a Hassania. It must not repeat the mistakes. Yeah, I think we touched on that yesterday. She's not going to face trial she's not going to come back to the country. Dangerous tipping point. AI hacking claims divide cybersecurity experts. Cooperation, not threats. Nigeria warns US alliance to curb violent attacks. Trump hosts Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman. 5 key takeaways. Myanmar's military raid online scam hub arrests nearly 350. They're still doing this. This is another scam website they've gone after. Army blames armed opposition groups for allowing scam centers to operate under their protection. Myanmar's military said it raided an internet hub on the Thai border, arresting nearly 350 people as part of a highly publicized crackdown against the booming black market compounds. The army on Wednesday blamed armed opposition groups for allowing scam centers to operate under their protection. They said they had taken action after wrestling back territorial control. Myanmar's military descended on the gambling fraud hub Shikoko on Tuesday morning, according to a state-run the Global New Light of Myanmar. During the operation, 346 foreign nationals currently under scrutiny were arrested, the Daily reported. Nearly 10,000 mobile phones used in online gambling operations were also seized. It said that the Yanni firm of the Chinese-Cambodian alleged racketeer Shi Zhagin was the entity involved in running the Shikogo area. She was arrested in Thailand in 2022 and extradited last week to China when she faces allegations of involvement in online gambling and fraud operations. She and his company Yati were previously under British and US sanctions. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, the border regions linking Thailand, Myanmar, Lagos and Cambodia have emerged as centres for online fraud. Yeah. A lot of scam centres are coming from that part. According to the United Nations, these areas have generated billions of dollars through the trafficking of hundreds of thousands of people coerced into working in scam compounds. Myanmar's military government has long been accused of turning a blind eye, but has trumpeted a crackdown since February after being lobbied by key military backer China, experts have said. Yeah, China's really pushing down on Myanmar to do more, despite the civil war that is taking place here. They want that cracking down because obviously it's affecting their citizens there. Poland to close last Russian consulate over unprecedented act of sabotage. That's to do with the rail line going down, which we touched on yesterday. US sells 700 million NASAM missile systems to Taiwan. Who's in, who's out, which teams are qualifying the FIFA World Cup? Well, Scotland, I know Scotland qualified last night because it was spoken about this morning. Don't know. I'm not really interested in it personally, but happy for those who got through. Philippines minister resigns as flood scandal reaches presidential palace. Two ministers in Philippines, President Fernandez Marcos Jr.'s cabinet resigned on Tuesday after being implicated into an ongoing investigation into ghost infrastructure and billions of dollars of missing government funds, deepening the crisis that the country is facing under a corruption scandal. So money that's supposed to be going towards flood defense is basically going into their pockets. Corruption here from the Philippine government. That's a real shame. Epstein files. Who is Clay Higgins, the US congressman who voted no on the release of Epstein file? Yeah, this is it. The House approval of the measure by an overwhelming margin of 427, including 216 Republicans with only one dissonant vote. This idiot here. So remember the name. Clay Higgins is the guy who wants to protect pedophiles. Remember that, guys. Clay Higgins is the congressman who wants to protect pedophiles. Never forget. Any other stories here from Al Jazeera worth looking at? Don't worry, guys. We are going to come to American news in a bit. We'll leave Al Jazeera for now. Interesting stuff there. Let's have a look at the UK, guys. Let's see what's happening today. We're going to go to the Independent first here, though. Oh my God, they haven't bombarded me with ads. Shocking news. Where mansion tax could hit as Reeves looks at council tax. You mean looking at council tax? I mean, what exactly are you saying here? Labour's autumn budget's fast approaching with dozens of potential measures. It's next week, the budget, isn't it? Yeah, it's next week. Voted in the build-up to the major fiscal event. Chancellor Rachel Reeves needs to identify at least £22 billion in new funds. By the way, I will be broadcasting the budget next week in case people are curious. So what I might do is... because it goes on for quite a while, I don't think I'll be doing a Good Morning show at 11 o'clock. I might do it at 8 o'clock for that day. So I'm just going to warn you guys ahead of times. Yeah, so I'm probably going to do the Good Morning show will be Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock instead. So we will cover Prime Minister's questions and then we will cover the budget. Economics have scrutinised and now property is taxed, as Miss Reeves considers her options, with many pointing to ways more revenue that could be raised from the people's homes. Ministers insisted that any tax rises could be forced on those with the most wealth as living standards in the UK continue to drop. And this is the thing. This is the key point here. You keep here harping on non-stop about immigration. Living standards are dropping. Inequality is rising. This is the big problem. What are we doing to tackle this? What is this government doing to tackle this issue? And so this is the big problem here. It's all well and good talking about inflation and growth and numbers and whatnot, but people's living standards are not getting better, and this is the big problem. One of the ways Treasury is understood to be looking to achieve this is through new levy on high value properties, which some have called a mansion tax. Different versions of how the tax could have worked have been floated, both with potential to raise considerable sums to the exchequer. The Treasury is understood to be considering increasing council tax rates for 310,000 homes in the UK valued over 1.5 million. Here's where it would be the most affected. I'm not happy about the idea of increasing council tax rates personally. I have no problem with mansion tax. I just don't want the poorest being hit. Good morning, Rosemary. Hope you are doing well there. And Ellie, if I haven't said as well. So, properties above 1.5 million from 0% to 26.5% who could be most affected there. And obviously, London was the most affected there. Cheshire, Cotsworth. Yeah, so London is going to be experiencing the highest numbers there. Just having a look at some areas there. Bromley 2.7, Tangerine, Mid Sussex. Yeah, so London's going to be hit with it the most. Most recently, Chancellor is understood to be considering a major overhaul to the council tax system, which would concentrate on higher value homes. This would see all 2.4 million properties in the highest tax bands in England undergo revaluation with an increased rate of the 310,000. The most expensive properties valued at over 1.5 million. The plan would raise almost around £600 million a year per the Times, and the result of the bill would an extra £200,000 a year of high value home owners. David Fell from the estate agency Hampson said, I think the government is saying that the current council tax bandings are going to be used as a guide. They're not enough on each of their own homes accurately. It sounds like they're looking to revalue about 2.4 million homes with a new levy imposed on about 300,000 worth 1.5 million or more. Yeah, there's some high. Yeah, London's going to be affected the most here. Interesting. The council tax thing really does needs sorted. The council tax system is council tax rise is a tax on working people. It is, because working people have to pay for that council tax. The council tax thing. Council tax needs to be changed. The banding system is just not working. I just feel like it's a bit bollocks that some people who have bigger homes and are paying less tax here for their houses in comparison to, like, I'm in a 3-bedroom property. I don't own this home, obviously, but this here, if I was to gain ownership of this home, I could sell it for a huge chunk of money, and I can get myself I can buy an outright home for something smaller, Yeah, Matthew Von Erich said it there. Sorry, in case anyone's wondering, I've been having a locket in my mouth just to look after my voice today. Council tax shouldn't be based on an area or home value. It should be banded on how many occupants there are, then with discounts based on benefits. I think that's a good point. Yeah, how many people are in it as well? Because obviously, there are some people who have lots of bodies are in the house. And so they can take advantage of, so that if there's 5-6 people, adults living in one house, and they're only paying paying the same rate as somebody with 2 people living in it, it means that they can make a huge amount of money off it. So, French police to use nets to stop small boats crossing channel. Blair thinks think tank join calls for cuts in energy prices before the budget. Plans to reform the NHS have chilling echoes of HS2 failings, MPs have warned. Yeah, it's frustrating. What do you expect? Warning over brain drain as a number of Britons leaving the UK reveal. PM warns cabinet to stop talking about ourselves after briefing war. Well, you're, that's just not. I'm sorry, but PM tells ministers that the distractions and meaning the fair focus means their focus have shifted. You're following the reform narrative. You're not controlling the narrative. How many times have I said this? Keir Starmer has cried hissy fit about talking about themselves. After a civil war series of budget leaks have rocked the government, the Prime Minister has told that distractions in recent weeks meant the government have focus has shifted from where it matters most. Call for unity after an extraordinary briefing spat, which was like, if they don't want it to be about immigration, then start talking about other things. He's such a dummy. He really is. MI5 new China espionage warning after spies target MPs. Security Minister Dan Jarvis said the government will not tolerate covert and calculated attempts by China to interfere with US sovereign affairs. I believe this is either this morning or yesterday. This hearing. So Chinese spies have been accused of posing as headhunters on LinkedIn to target MPs as part of a widespread operation to access information about the UK government, MI5 has warned. The security service issued a new alert over Chinese espionage after it found that 2 recruiters were using online profiles to contact people working in Westminster on behalf of the Chinese military state security, the MSS. In a letter to MPs on the issue, Common Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle said Chinese state actors were relentless in their attempts to interfere in our processes and influence activity at Parliament. He said that profiles under the names of Amanda Kui and Shirley Sheng were being used to conduct outreach at scale on behalf of China, while similar profiles were also acting as fronts for espionage. Responding to the new alert, Security Minister Dan Jarvis said the government would not tolerate covert and calculated attempts by Beijing to interfere in UK's sovereign affairs, as he vowed to disrupt, degrade and protect against China's dangerous and unrelenting offensive cyber ecosystem. You could start by showing that by saying F off to the new embassy building that they want. But Beijing's embassy in the UK hit back, branding allegations as charade and claiming that they are pure fabrication and malicious slander. The allegations have awoken serious concerns about the threat China poses to the UK after scandals surrounding the collapse of the trial of 2 men accused of spying for China. Which led to days of questions about whether the government had intervened to undermine the prosecution of the pair. One former parliamentary researcher and other on academic. The latest warning follows previous concerns around China's influence in the UK. Previously, there was controversy over the Chinese companies Huawei being allowed to build and control UK's 5G network. And there have also been arguments about whether to allow China to build UK nuclear reactors and Chinese investment in British universities. Ofcom withdrew their operation license of CGGN in 2021 following accusations that it was producing propaganda. There have also been concerns about China stealing UK intellectual property. Addressing the comments on the LinkedIn allegations, Mr. Jarvis said the government would take all necessary measures to protect our national interests, our citizens, and our democracy's way of life. He said parliamentary staff, economics, and think tank employees and government officials have all been targeted, and he warned that China has a low threshold for the sort of information that is useful as it attempts to build a wider picture. You can absolutely guarantee if we get a reform Russia government that they will do a very piss poor job of protecting us from this. Like, the Conservatives have their flaws, but when it comes to security, I think they're a little bit better at it than Reform. But I do think Labour are taking this seriously to a certain extent. Latest efforts following the target of parliamentary emails in 2021 and attempted interference by Christine Lee, a lawyer accused by MI5 in 2022 of working for the Chinese government, Mr. Jarvis had told the Commons. So China is still continuing their activities here, and like I've said before, it's natural for them to try and get information, for governments to get information on us. It's not going away. Is Labour's immigration crackdown targeting the right people? No, is the answer. Details of a legal battle between Abramovich and Jersey revealed. Key takeaways from Shabir Mahmoud's asylum crackdown. Let's have a look at the front of UK here just for reference. Cosworth is sunny and cold deck after a little snow and sleet earlier and quite breezy, says Scott. Good morning to you. Hope you are doing well. Snow here from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. It says person. Snow loves Yorkshire. Front of UK here. Huntington train stabbing suspect charged with new offences. Starting to face final PMQs before budget. Yep, so PMQs, I'm going to see if we can host that here. Mansion tax could hit as Reeves looks at council tax. Should you walk your dog in the snow? We touched on that a little bit yesterday. Martin Lewis advice for anyone planning a purchase on Black Friday. Yeah, check the prices. Take the prices with a pinch of salt, because sometimes they just say, like, I want to say this, like, Black Friday is a good opportunity for people to get a deal on Christmas shopping. I would just say to people, just look carefully at the prices and think about what it is you're buying before purchasing it. Do take it with a pinch of salt, because sometimes it could be already on offer and they just slapped a black and pink label to say it's Black Friday. So just be careful. You know, don't jump to conclusions that it is a Black Friday deal, that it's a great deal, is my message. I would say, obviously, if it's a discount, an opportunity to get something for Christmas for somebody at a discounted price, if you can get it cheap, go for it by all means. But yeah, do take some things with a pinch of salt, because it can be a bit... Because I've worked in retail where in the last few years of my time in Superdrug, when I worked for Superdrug, they didn't really change the prices for Black Friday. And what they did was basically they essentially just changed the labels over from the normal pink labels that they had on Superdrug for promotions, and they just changed it to black and pink ones to make it look like, ooh, it's Black Friday. And it's like, no, they just literally kept the same price and they just switched it over. So you got to watch out for that. A British woman among 5 killed during a fierce snowstorm in Chile. The area struck by a snowstorm, wind speeds equivalent to a Category 3 hurricane. Oh my God. British woman is among 5 people in Chile's Torres del Paine National Park authorities to confirm the bodies, including 2 Germans and 2 Mexican citizens, were discovered on Tuesday following a snowstorm in the popular Paragon tourist destination. Jose Antonio Rodriguez, the presidential delegate for Chile's Southern Region, said talks have begun representatives from the victims' countries of origin so their bodies could be recovered. The area was struck by a snowstorm causing whiteout conditions with fierce winds surpassing 120 miles per hour, equivalent to a Category 3 hurricane. Jesus. Wow, it does look pretty. It does look pretty. Torres del Paine National Park, which is jittering mountaintops and subpolar forest, spans about 1,810 square kilometers and hosts hundreds of thousands of visitors every year. The search for the victims have ended, with authorities now focusing on perpetuating the bodies and liaison with foreign consultants, officials said. It is understood that a further 4 people have been found alive. Yeah, my condolences, of course. My condolences, of course. Yeah, it can happen to anyone. You know, it's just a case that you got to... I don't think it's just a case of just the right time, the timing of when you go and whatnot. I don't know enough about Chile's mountains, but you can't there's all sorts of reasons why things like that happen. I don't think you can just blame one particular thing. Let's hope they get found, because they haven't found the bodies. It's possible they may still be alive. So let's hope so. Towers of Pain, Chris Bollington and Don Wilkins, says Billy Kershaw. Hi, wee bud, good to see you there. Alison Keir with another £2 super chat. All hail DPR. One less for confetti. Yep, one more super chat to get the confetti. £2 minimum if we can get over it. It'd be great. Let's have a look at the Associated Press, guys. That's a very good sign. I like that. Unlock all Epstein files. I like that. Congress acts swiftly to force the release of Epstein files, and Trump agrees to sign the bill. Roger Federer elected to International Tennis Hall of Fame in the first year of eligibility. Of course he should be in a Tennis Hall of Fame. The guy is one of the greatest tennis players that has ever been in my lifetime. Roger Federer, I really mean this. I think he's one of the greatest tennis players in our generation, in my lifetime. I know not everybody's into tennis, and even I'm not the biggest tennis fan, but I will never forget watching his match against Rafa Nadal at Wimbledon final. I can't remember what year it was, but they went they battled for hours, and it was one of the most extraordinary tennis matches I've ever seen. And and it's not just that he's such a great tennis player. More importantly, he's a good person. He's a great ambassador for Switzerland, and he sets the right. And he really does. He really is a gentleman. Everyone that I've known that has met him has always said that he's been a really good gentleman. He really does set a great example for future tennis players. A great sportsman. So I couldn't think of anyone more deserving for a Hall of Fame stardom than Roger Federer. Let's have a look at this then. So both the House and the Senate acted decisively last night. We touched on it yesterday before the vote. They passed a bill to force the Justice Department to release the files on the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, a remarkable display of approval for an effect that had a struggle for months to overcome opposition from President Donald Trump and the Republican leadership. When a small bipartisan group of House lawmakers introduced a petition in July to maneuver around Speaker Mike Johnson's control of the House floor, it appeared a long-shot effect, especially as Trump urged his supporters to dismiss the matter as a hoax. Both Donald Trump and Mike Johnson failed to prevent the vote. The president in recent days bowed to political reality, saying he would sign the bill, and just hours after the House vote, senators agreed to approve it unanimously, skipping a formal roll call. The decisive bipartisan work in Congress on Tuesday further showed the pressures mounting on lawmakers and the Trump administration to meet the long-held demands that the Justice Department release its case files on Epstein, a well-connected financier who killed himself in Manhattan jail while awaiting trial in 2019 on charges he sexually abused and trafficking underage girls. This is the allegation, is that he killed himself. I still think I know there's lots of conspiracy theories around. I don't think he killed himself. I think he was taken out. I generally think he was taken out. For years, Epstein's abuse, for survivors of Epstein abuse, Passage of Jill was a watershed moment for the year-long quest of accountability. These women have fought the most horrific fight, and that no women should have to fight. And they did so by banding together and never giving up, said Marjorie Taylor Greene, as she stood with some of the abuser survivors outside Tuesday's Capitol morning. That's what we did by fighting so hard against the most powerful people in the world and even the President of the United States in order to make this vote happen today. Adding Green, a Georgia Republican. She's like, I really do think that she has turned a 180 here. There is this talk that she could run for president for the Republican Party as the next candidate, and this is her way of kind of. There is a talk that she could be that next president. And I've got to say, you know what? I would not want Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think I could swallow her as president. I don't think she would win over the majority. But I do think a part of this is that, as well as maintaining her power where she is as well. She's saying all the right things since she U-turned, Aliston, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. Confetti time. Pingu says thank you very much, Aliston, there for your support. Thank you very much indeed for your support. Really appreciate it. Those funds goes towards the Democratic Penguins Republic. Ollie says thank you as well. There. Yes, the funds goes towards the Democratic Penguins Republic of McDonald's Island to protect themselves from the evil, tyrannical Trump administration who imposed tariffs on McDonald's Island. All those penguins are having to pay a tax on the fish that they pick up, all because of the evil Trump administration. But your support today goes towards battling that. So, quotations, that's what we did by fighting so hard against the most powerful people in the world, even the President of the United States, in order to make the votes happen. Yep. The bill forces the release of 30 days of all files and communications related to Epstein, as well as any information about the investigation to the death of the federal prison. It would allow the Justice Department to redact information about Epstein's victims and continue federal investigations, but not information due to embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. We'll see in the next few days, guys. We will see in the next few days how things go. And we're going to touch a bit on it tonight as well. We will touch on it tonight, the Epstein files for sure, because I do want to get some reaction from different parts here. Oh, he looks so happy there, Donny, doesn't he? Aliston, thank you for another £5 super chat. It's very nice of you. Politics Social may not be doing PMQs, Reganelite, so if you could do it, that would be great. Is he not doing it? Is he not doing Prime Minister's questions? Graham Hughes. I don't know if Max is doing it. Is he not doing it then? Oh, that's a shame. Okay, I probably will do it then. I will need a minute or two. What I'm planning to do, guys, so normally I go about an hour here on Good Morning, but what I'm going to do is we'll stop a couple minutes before 12 o'clock so that I can switch over to doing so. But like I said, not everyone here is interested in Prime Minister's questions. What else is there going on in terms of stories here? MI5 for all UK lawmakers. Yep, we know about that. Hasinia. Yep, we know about that. Iran released Marshall Island flag tanker and crew. Oh, that was one of the tankers they apprehended, I believe, a while ago. For conservative media, New York City's mayor-elect Zoran Madani is quickly becoming a target. Yeah, he's still being targeted. And for those who are curious, he's trying to raise the funds needed for race funds as president-elect as well. So he's still in sort of a campaign mode, I would say. Cristiano Ronaldo and FIFA president attend Trump's dinner with Saudi Crown Prince. Man, that must be awkward. I don't. What are you doing there, Ronaldo? What are you doing there? Shame. You should not be there, Cristiano. You should not be there. The Ollie Appreciation Society. Graham was dropping the kids off to school, but seeing there is snow, he may not be able to. Okay. Well, I do have, like I said, I do have it set up, and I only set it up this morning as a potential option to do. There. Minister says MOD looking at security risks from Chinese cars. This is the Guardian, just for reference. Watch out for online contacts with Chinese spies. Yep. UK lacks the plan to defend itself from attack, warn MPs. How many times have I heard this? How many times have I heard this where somebody somewhere saying, we don't have enough defense. We need to protect ourselves from enemies. The Russians are going to attack us at any time. We need more weapons. We need more SAM sites. We need more this. We need more that. I hear this all the goddamn time. And it's just like, never mind helping the people who need it. Never mind the British public. What about defense? Defense. That's all I get from the bloody... I see this all the goddamn time. Look, just build a bunch of SAM sites. Build anti-drone... just set up some anti-drone stuff on the coast. And, can we not just set up some AI stuff to protect us? Instead. Launch of East-West rail service to be delayed in a row over guards on trains. Trains between Oxford and Milton Keynes put back to 2026, partly due to dispute, Chiltern Railway says. Oh, God. Start of passenger service on the new East-West rail line will be delayed until 2026 with no start date confirmed, the operator said, partly due to a row over guards on the trains. Passenger trains were supposed to come into service between Oxford and Milton Keynes this autumn. First stage of a new railway alongside the Oxford Cambridge, where the government hopes for a rapid economic growth. However, the operator has yet to formally notify authorities of the start of service, meaning trains on the flagship project will not be timetabled for several months. The track and infrastructure has been completed and passenger trains have been leased for stand idle. More than a year has elapsed since Network Rail finished the work on the line and the first test trains ran. And freight trains are running on the route. So a looming row over how trains are staffed is understood to be the main stumbling block. An existing agreement is understood to only allow Chillington to operate trains without guards on certain parts of the network. Both the RMT union representing guards and ASLEF represent train drivers formally oppose any extension to driver-only operated trains on the UK's railway, a position that is likely to be reinforced by the recent knife attacks on the train in Cambridgeshire. Yeah, so this is about them basically saying, no, you can't have not have a guard on the train. This is what their argument is. Union says Chiltern only recently notified them of plans to run the east-west trains without guards. The RMT spokesperson confirmed that Chilean management had written spelling out the plans that and the unions were seeking talks. ASLEF said it was approached last month but was awaiting the outcome of the RMT negotiations. A single new station so far built on the route, and so is yet to be completed. Work is continuing. They're working with the Department of Transport, trade unions and other industry partners to deliver first stages. 100 permanent new jobs. You could deliver service, DfT spokesperson said we are supporting the railway as they work closely with the unions and industry partners to give service the first phase of the East-West Railway up as soon as possible. Look, I'm just going to put this out there. Like, I personally think every single train should have one guard. Every single train should have one guard. And the reason why I say that is because it just gives people a sense of comfort knowing that if there's any issues, there's somebody they can talk to, there's somebody that can help them. The reason why that there's not a guard on every single train is not on every single train is simply because they don't want to pay for an extra body. They would rather leave it all down to AI. I generally think, you know, where my train line is Southeastern Rail Service, which is literally about 10-15 minutes, which the station not far from me is about 10-15 minutes from me. And none of the trains on the line near where I am have a guard. They do not have a guard. You can get on that train and you can go a couple of stops and you won't be, and no one will bat an eyelid, because most of the train stations in this area do not have ticket barriers. So you can literally get on and get off and not pay a penny. There's so much fare dodging, it's insane. Now, I don't do that because most of the time I walk, but it's very easy for people to do so. And this is absolutely true as well, right? You can get a train from where I am. It goes all the way to Brixton, Southeastern Rail Service, right? There's no barriers there. You can get off there at Brixton, and then you're already on the, you can get the Victoria line into London as well. Or to Elephant and Castle, because sometimes it connects on the Thameslink line. And then you can just walk out of Elephant and Castle, because, again, there's nobody at the station. Nobody on the train. And you wonder why so much money gets thrown, why so much money is gone. Why so much money is wasted, why so many people are not paying, when people are struggling in their pocket, right, to make ends meet, when people are suffering from inequality and whatnot. If people can get away with fare dodging, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. Bill and Graham said it was not grifting around it. He had tried earlier to drop them off before the morning brew, and that's why it was later to start, if I remember rightly. Remember the stabbing on the train on the guard. I trained the guard and the driver stepped in, so actually saved more folks than getting stabbed. Reganelite. It's not about the stabbing is the reason why. It's the argument for having a guard on every single train, although that is a reason. The main reason I feel is that if somebody gets on a train, they don't know where they're going, or they're not 100% sure they're on the right train, or, which does happen, is you get on the train and you forget to purchase your ticket, which can happen as well because you're rushing to get on that train. And then they can buy the ticket from the guard on the train, which can be done as well. And I think that's a very key point as well, because there are some people who generally don't want a fare dodge and, or rushing to get their train and they didn't have time to purchase their ticket, and then they can ask the guard to pay for the ticket because they just got on. That's an option as well. So that there are so many benefits to having a guard on every single train. But the Network Rail does not want to pay out for them. And this is where the union's for it. And it's not just the stabbing. The stabbing is what, obviously that gives people comfort, people travelling late at night and whatnot. Like if I'm getting on if I get on the network train late at night at 9 o'clock and whatnot, when me and my partner are travelling home from a wrestling show on Sunday night, and we get on the train about 9 o'clock, just after 9, something like that. It's plenty of people on the train. But if there was a guard on the train, like walking up and down and whatnot, I would feel a hell of a lot more safer. I would feel a lot more safer. Just gives me a sense of comfort, sort of thing. I do think that could be really helpful. It's an interesting to say the least here. Oh, I just noticed the time here. Let me 1 second, guys. Let me come out of this. We'll have a look at. We'll touch a bit more on the Guardian in a second. Let me see if there is. I just want to check something here, guys. Just give me 1 moment. Okay. Let me mute that. Okay. Mute. Okay. Let me just see how this looks. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, yeah, Prime Minister's question is literally live, but it's not actually Prime Minister's questions just yet here. Okay, let me come back to my original screen. we'll have a quick look at one or two other stories before we switch over, guys. So just I'll let you guys know what the plan is, just because we've got about 5 minutes left. So I'm going to switch over in the next minute or two over to PMQs. And I've got drinks for me. I'm fine. So I just want to say, for those, if they're not interested in Prime Minister's questions, which I totally understand, I appreciate. Thank you guys for coming along. I do appreciate it. We're going to look at a little bit more just before we go. But I will be live again tonight at 8 o'clock. So if you guys want to join me for that, feel free to do so. Once Prime Minister's question starts, I'm going to update the title as well of the show here. So we're going to go from Good Morning to Prime Minister's questions. So do bear with me on that. I think what I might do, I need to do new thumbnails and whatnot going forward, if I'm going to be going from Good Morning to Prime Minister's questions there. So just bear with me there. Is PMQs on this stream, or are we moving elsewhere? No, you can just stay here for Prime Minister's questions. You don't need to switch anything. You can just leave it on this. If you guys want to listen to Prime Minister's questions, you can just stay here. But I can understand some people switching gears and not listening to PMQs, because it's not everybody's cup of tea, which I understand. So you can just stay here if you guys are interested, but we're not there just yet. W.H. Smith Chiefs quits after accounting error on the knock of more than 600 million off value. Ouch. That's not good. Man wrongly jailed for 38 years, says Merseyside police forced a confession. Sorry, I might be sneezing in a moment. Officers accused of using violence and threats to make Peter Sullivan confess to a 1987 murder of 21-year-old Dane. So now, a man was wrongly jailed for 38 years. Has spoken of being beaten by police and bullied into making false murder confession. He's the subject of one of the longest miscarriages of justice in British history. He said he had lost everything and wanted an apology from the Merseyside police. He's 68 years old now. 38 years, more than a quarter of his life. Sullivan was wrongly convicted of 1987 from the forensic murder of Diane Sindel. I hate hearing stories like this. Stories like this make me sick to my stomach. It's not just an apology. He demands compensation. Claimed on occasions he'd been beaten by police officers in his cell. They threw a blanket over top of me and they were hitting me on top of the blanket. Trusting and cooperating with them really hurt. They were really levering me. He'd been denied food, sleep in attendance of a appropriate adult, despite police custody recording noting he had learning difficulties. He claimed he had been told if he did not confess, he would be charged with 35 other rapes. If you are innocent, don't claim. Yeah, terrible. Absolute terrible ordeal. Let's see what other stories here. 4 arrested after 450k watch and 1.1 million cryptocurrency stolen in Oxford raid. What? Masked robbers forced their way into a car, seized valuables, and forced victims to transfer Bitcoin. Masked robbers stole a 450,000 watch. A watch that expensive? 1.1 million in cryptocurrency after they forced their way into a car in Oxford. 2 men and 3 women were driving from the city of London on the afternoon of November the 4th when raiders struck, Thames Valley Police said. They took the watch and the victim's phone for forcing one of them to transfer the cryptocurrency out of their account. The victims were left with 5 Mile Drive area of Oxford. Jesus. That's oh my God. That's terrible. UK inflation eased for the first time in 5 months to 3.6% before the crunch budget as well there. So those are some of the stories from this morning's news here, guys. So I am going to leave it there. We are going to switch gears here in just a moment. So give me one moment here. So guys, Prime Minister's question is going to be starting in a few minutes. At the moment, I've got it on mute. I've got it on in the background here, but I've got it on mute at the moment. Before I go into it, again, a reminder, if you're not interested in Prime Minister's questions and you're heading out, I want to say thank you very much for coming along. If you want to listen to Prime Minister's questions, just stay where you are. We'll be going into it in just a moment once it starts. But a reminder, I will be going live again at 8 p.m. Tonight. And I will be doing another Good Morning show tomorrow at 11 a.m. just for reference there as well, guys. So I just want to say thank you for those who came along and those who gave super chats as well, just for reference. So Just at the moment, we are just waiting for the Prime Minister. Yeah, you can see he's just there at the moment. So I'm just going to wait for that. While I just do that, I need to... Sorry, 1 second, guys. I'm just going to be doing a little bit of fiddling about in the background. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Good morning, Mr. Schism. 1 second. Prime Minister's question. He's not sat down yet, guys. Don't worry. Is it really that hard? 1 second, guys. Morning, and it hasn't started yet, don't worry. Right, I just need to make a new thumbnail in the future.
Country. Does the Secretary of State agree with me that they deserve a permanent memorial, not some of them to be prosecuted?
Don't worry, Billy.
Well, as I indicated in answer to the earlier question, there is that memorial already at the National Memorial Arboretum. There are other places in which the Service and Secretary...
If you refresh the stream, it should say "Good morning" and Prime Minister's questions now on the title. If someone could just refresh and let me know that definitely says that, it'd be greatly appreciated.
All of the names and remembers the huge sacrifice that all of those people made in defence of freedom in Northern Ireland.
Before I come to Prime Minister's questions, may I extend a warm welcome to the President of the National Council of Slovak Republic and his delegation, who are with us in the gallery today. And may I also welcome the new Chief Minister of St Helena. We now come to questions to Prime Minister Kate Malthouse.
Number one.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me start by congratulating Scotland on their magnificent victory last night, qualifying for the World Cup for the first time since 1998.
I didn't realise you were all Scottish MPs, Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, they qualified with fantastic goals, including a cracker from former Arsenal player Kieran Tierney.
Oh, you had to say that.
He's a great favourite with the fans. Mr. Speaker, my thoughts are with the communities across the country affected by severe flooding, particularly in Monmouthshire. I've been liaising with the First Minister of Wales and want to thank all our emergency services for their response. Mr. Speaker, my thoughts are also with the family and loved one of Royal Fleet Auxiliary member James Elliott, who has sadly been lost. I know the contribution that personnel of the Royal Fleet Auxiliary make and the risks that they take in the line of duty. My thoughts, and I'm sure the thoughts of the whole House, are with those who knew him at this tragic and difficult time for them. Mr. Speaker, last Thursday I visited Anglesey to announce the construction of the country's first small modular reactor. That's the biggest investment in North Wales in a generation, creating more than 6,000 jobs. On Monday, we introduced the largest overhaul of the asylum policy in modern times, restoring control, fairness and creating safe and legal routes. And today I'm pleased to announce that inflation is coming down. There's more to do, but it's an important step. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Mr. Speaker, many of us are becoming concerned that technical or procedural manoeuvres outside of this House may be used to prevent Parliament reaching a decision on the terminally ill adults bill. Now, the government is neutral on the bill itself, but I presume it's not neutral on the issue of democracy or the primacy of this chamber. So could the Prime Minister please reassure the House that the decision of elected members, and indeed the wishes and hopes of the vast majority of the people we serve, will not be frustrated in this way.
Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for his question? I know he feels strongly about this issue. As he says, the government is neutral on the passage of the bill. It is a matter of conscience, so there are different and respected views across Parliament, and it is for Parliament to decide in the end on any changes in this chamber. Scrutiny of the bill in the Lords is a matter for the Lords, but the government does have a responsibility to make sure that any legislation which passes through Parliament is workable, is effective, and of course enforceable.
Just before we go to the next, go to Kemi, I just want to touch on this, guys, because I was critical at the end of this bill because I wasn't keen on this bill in particular for the assisting dying, even though that I personally am in favour of assisting dying, of being able to right to die, and I've spoken about this in the build up to that passage of that bill, both on live streams and on videos, and I felt that the amendments that they were making changes were not safeguards were not strong enough. The safeguards were not strong enough, and I felt they were being made weaker. Now, I believe up to 500 amendments have been proposed by the House of Lords in terms of the bill itself, and I'm going to say this, like, I don't think the House of Lords, it would be in their interest to try to deny this or try and slow this down. However, I do agree that they do need to have. I do feel that they do need to deeply scrutinise this bill as much as possible, because we are talking about people's lives here. It's an extremely sensitive topic, as we are, because we're talking about giving people the right to die, and there are some circumstances, there are some things in it that I'm not keen on personally. So I understand where Parliament is coming from on this, but like Keir Starmer said there, they do need to be allowed to scrutinise that bill, and I am in favour of seeing that bill being scrutinised, because I want it to be as beneficial to everyone, but the most beneficial, but I want it to have the strong, I've said this before and I've said this again, I want the strongest safeguards possible for assisting dying.
John Trickett.
Very much indeed, Mr. Speaker. And the party opposite in government said that they would level up the country, but in fact they left the country divided. Half austerity, in deindustrialisation, stagnant wages, all took the heart, ripped the heart out of mining communities like the ones I represent. Everywhere you can see the legacy which the party opposite left. And how can it be right that the hard-working, loyal people in my constituency earn £400 a week or £20,000 a year less than people who live in Kensington? So will the Prime Minister now declare that it is the government's moral purpose to eliminate economic injustice, starting with the budget next week, announcing massive investment in the north and wherever else poverty and low pay raising its head?
This is an ass-kissing question, an absolute bloody pointless question. And he talks about inequality. Yes, it was from 2010, without a shadow of a doubt, started by the Conservatives. However, literally, just a few days ago, Shabir Mahmood is dividing communities with her outrageous and disgusting asylum policies. So for them to talk about wanting to protect communities and keep people together, yeah, I'm not having that when it comes to this Labour government.
Well, can I thank him for raising this important issue, because they laugh, but working people paid a very heavy price for 14 years of economic failure. Austerity damaged the economy and decimated public services. A botched Brexit deal stifled growth, and the reckless borrowing on a mini-budget saw mortgages and the cost of living soar. He's right to raise this issue. We're determined to tackle inequality. He'll be pleased to know that under this government, wages are up, but we need to do more. We've had a
wages don't mean shit when all your bills have gone up.
Pay increase for the 3.5 million lowest paid, and the Chancellor will deliver a budget based on Labour values.
Kemi Badenoch, Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate our side of the House with the remarks the Prime Minister made about James Elliott? Can the Prime Minister tell us why his government is the first government in history to float increasing income tax rates only to then U-turn on it all after the actual budget.
I'll inform you the budget's actually next week rather than after the budget. It's only got 1 week to go. But I can tell her it'll be a Labour budget, Mr. Speaker, with Labour values. That means we will
It's a Labour budget with Labour values, guys. Look, they're just going to put a sticky plaster on it saying it's a Labour budget with Labour values. Yay! Lay.
Straight on cutting NHS waiting lists, cutting debt, and cutting the cost of living.
Yeah, you say cuts in the cost of living, but again, like, how many times have we pointed that inequality is not being felt better? How many times have we mentioned that? Honestly, Chairat, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well.
Because of the decisions we've already made, inflation is down this morning. The Bank of England have upgraded growth. We've got a record £230 billion of investment into this country under this government.
Mr. Speaker, he says the budget is next week, but we read all about it in the papers. This is the first...
Just because you... Look, let me just... But before, I have to cut her off here, because this is really, really important, guys, okay? Look, just because something is said in the papers doesn't always mean it's definitely going to happen in the budget. Sometimes the government puts feelers out to see how people feel about certain things. Nothing is guaranteed. Now there's a chance there's always a chance that some of the things that the papers say end up being true, but it's not always certain. Just because the papers are saying it doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
First budget to unravel before it's even been delivered. The Chancellor's cluelessness, I'm afraid, is damaging the economy now. The Prime Minister needs to end this shambles. So can he confirm today that he won't break another promise by freezing income tax thresholds?
Mr. Speaker, the budget is 1 week today and we will lay out our plans. But what we won't do, Mr. Speaker, I've said what we will do in terms of protecting the NHS and public services. What we won't do is inflict austerity.
Won't protect the NHS from private investors who look to take advantage of us. You're not doing that, are you?
On the country as they did. It's caused huge... What we won't do is inflict a borrowing spree like Liz Truss did, also inflicted and did huge damage. Mr. Speaker, have they learnt anything? She's apparently got a golden economic rule, I think. So it's a very important rule, this golden rule. That there's this £47 billion of cuts with no detail. No wonder the Institute of Government says they're on very shaky foundations. They haven't listened and they haven't learned.
Yeah, the Conservatives are the clown party. Never forget.
Mr. Speaker, it is quite clear that they are going to freeze thresholds. We didn't get a clear answer from them, but this is really important. Because in her budget speech last year, the Chancellor said, and I quote, "I am keeping every single promise on tax that I made in our manifesto. So there will be no extension of the freeze in income tax and national insurance thresholds." Why was freezing thresholds a breach of the manifesto last year, but it isn't this year?
Mr. Speaker, every week she comes along and speculates and distorts. Last year, Mr. Speaker, last year they predicted recession. And what did we get? The fastest growing economy in the G7 in the first half of the year. They opposed NHS investment. And what did we get? 5 million extra appointments in the first year of a Labour government. They tried growing the economy with millions on NHS waiting lists, with our schools crumbling and holes in our road. It didn't work. What do they want to do now? Go back to the same failed experiment.
Matty Von Erich says there was an article in The Guardian just this morning that the NHS is failing to cut waiting times. It's kind of up and down, Matty. I think it's kind of up and down. You know, there are times where it's going up and there are times where it's going down. Yeah, it's not... And I think it's going to struggle, obviously, with this in this part of the year. You know, this is the winter where West Streeting will be tested as Health Secretary. This is the year where he's going to be tested.
Mr. Speaker, he talks about speculation. The only people who've been speculating are his government every single day for the last 3 months. And he mentioned inflation in his last answer. Inflation has nearly doubled since they came into office. He wants a round of applause because it's come down a little bit. I will remind him that food inflation is up 4.9%. That is making life miserable for all of those people out there.
It's important to remember that people are still struggling from inequality out there and people are not feeling it.
But let's go back to thresholds because this is important. When the Chancellor made that promise to unfreeze the thresholds, it wasn't an off-the-cuff comment. She said it on the floor of this House in her budget speech. That was a deliberate statement of government policy. So if she breaks such a clear promise, how can the public trust a word that she says next week?
You can't talk about trust from... There is no... We cannot... Do not talk about... How on earth can this party, of all parties to talk about trust? Look, I have my grievances with Labour, as you guys know in the chat. But my word, don't talk about trust. You're just asking to get fired here.
Mr. Speaker, she talks about inflation. It went to 11% on that.
Dear, oh dear.
And the country is still paying the price. Inflation is down this morning. Wages are up, and we've had 5 interest rate cuts, and that's because our fiscal rules are ironclad. And the leader of the opposition and the party officers have no credibility on the economy. She was Treasury Minister during the worst decline in living standards on record. And she said that Liz Truss got the mini-budget 100% right. Not much room for flexibility there. 100%, that's pretty full marks, Mr. Speaker. She might want to tell us if that's still her position, 100% right for Liz Truss.
Listen, again, like, I'm sorry, but Kemi just got made to look like a complete arse here. It really is embarrassing.
Mr. Speaker, I was Treasury Minister at the height of the pandemic. We cleaned up that mess. Maybe he could clean up some of his own mess. And I'm going to repeat what the Chancellor said because it's quite clear that the whole front bench has forgotten. She said, I have come to the conclusion that extending the threshold freeze would hurt working people. It would take more money out of their pay slips, and yet that's what they're planning to do next week. And all of this speculation is having real-world consequences. Just this morning, the UK chair of ExxonMobil said, and I quote, the government needs to understand that the whole industrial base of the UK is at risk unless they wake up and realise the damage their economic policies are doing.
No, that's Exxon kicking up a fuss because they don't like what Ed Miliband is doing as Energy Secretary. So they're basically putting out that statement in order for them to try and scrutinise this Labour government, saying, please talk to us, Ed Miliband. Please give us our concessions that we always get from the Conservatives. Please bow to our demands and stop talking about green energy bollocks. That's literally what ExxonMobil are doing there.
Mr. Speaker, can the Prime Minister tell us, is the loss of UK industry the price the country has to pay for having a clueless Chancellor?
Mr. Speaker, let me just say about ExxonMobil, it is a difficult time for the workforce there, and we must focus on supporting them. We've been meeting the company for over 6 months and explored every possible reasonable avenue. They've been facing losses for the last 5 years. It's best to do the detail before you chunter. And they're currently losing £1 million a week. But she talks about policy and approach. On energy policy, she follows reform. On the European Convention, she follows the man who wants her job. And when her shadow minister said we should deport people lawfully here to achieve cultural coherence, she pretended that it didn't happen. I could go on. She was the trade secretary that didn't sign any trade deals. Cheerleader for the mini-budget.
Well, technically that's not true. She did sign trade deals, but they were god-awful ones, to be fair there. Let's just be clear about that.
Cheerleader for open borders. And when they were crashing the economy, botching Brexit and running down the NHS, she was right at the centre. She hasn't got an ounce of credibility.
Mr. Speaker, on energy policy, what we are doing is listening to industry. What happened, I had a round table.
You're not listening to industry. You're just taking a big fat paycheck from the anti-climate lobbyists, from the oil and gas lobbyists. That's what's happened to the Conservatives. What's happened to them is because they got so rumped at the last general election, they took money from the oil and gas lobbies to become against net zero. That's exactly what's happened, because you guys lost so much money because you guys got such a thumping at the general election. That's what's really happened here.
Mr. Slinger, please. We don't want to have to sling you out.
Mr. Speaker, just this morning, we heard from the chair of one of our largest energy companies. Last week, I had a roundtable with energy companies, and what they had to say about this Prime Minister and his energy secretary is unprintable. They are absolutely furious. Our oil and gas industry is dying, and he's standing there saying he had meetings. People out there are struggling, Mr. Speaker. The budget chaos is causing real anxiety.
It's really important to stress that these same oil and gas meetings that Kemi claiming to have, they are still having plenty of them with the Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, just for reference as well.
People aren't buying houses, businesses aren't hiring, and they are cancelling investment decisions.
Unemployment is up 5%.
2 weeks ago, the Chancellor called a ridiculous press conference to blame everyone else for her having to raise income tax. Then last week, she U-turned on her own U-turn. Instead, we can see they're planning to freeze income tax thresholds, something she said last year would be a breach of their manifesto. They are making it up as they go along. Doesn't the country deserve better than government by guesswork?
Mr. Speaker, either we renew our country with Labour or we go back to austerity 2.0 with reform of the Tories. They left waiting lists at record highs. Almost 1 million more children in poverty, and they wrecked our public services. She comes here to talk down the country. We're turning the page. More NHS appointments, free breakfast clubs, free childcare, more homes and better public services. That's what we're fighting for, a Britain built for all.
Listen, I said this before and I said this again. I'm all in favour of the free breakfast clubs, but I want a guaranteed meal for every single child for all their meals every day. I want that guaranteed. I really do think that is a price worth paying for taxpayers.
Lord Hatton.
Mr. Speaker, standing in the heart of Weymouth, the Rectory is an iconic building. Formerly a theatre, once a bustling cinema, and then a popular pub as well. And yet, for more than a decade, this building has stood empty. We want to turn this building into a thriving centre for arts and culture, hosting exhibitions and celebrating everything that makes Weymouth unique. So will the Prime Minister work with me and all the key players on the ground to revitalise the Rectory and reopen this fantastic building for our town?
Prime Minister.
Well, my honourable friend is a brilliant champion for South Dorset. And he's right to champion revitalising our high streets. The Minister for Heritage would be delighted to discuss how we can get this iconic building reopened as he wants. I'm pleased that Weymouth secured £20 million in Pride in Place funding, giving his community the power and resources to make a real difference to people's lives.
Sir David, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's opening remarks? And can I also join with him in congratulating Scotland on their amazing win against Denmark and wish them well in the World Cup? And can I also say I hope Wales soon qualifies to join England and Scotland? But Mr. Speaker, every year there are more than 300 suicides related to problem gambling. It affects hundreds of thousands of families, tearing them apart. Meanwhile, online gambling firms are taking in record revenues of over £7 billion a year.
Shameful.
Now, ITV News are reporting that one of them, Sky Bet, is moving its headquarters to Malta so it can save tens of millions of pounds in corporation tax. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that it's time that we tax them on their UK profits so these online gambling firms don't escape wherever they are registered for tax?
Couldn't agree more. You know what? It makes me sick to my stomachs that people have taken their own lives as a result of gambling. Gambling is such a terrible thing, and it has such a firm grip on many sports areas as well. I do admit that the gambling industry is being held when it comes to governments have done a lot more to clamp down on gambling when it comes to drinking and helping and them, but I just feel like it's not enough. I feel like progress has been made when it comes to dealing with gambling firms, but it's nowhere near the level it needs to be. It's nowhere near the level it needs to be. I feel like more needs to be done, but I feel like them, like other industries, are having an influence in our politics.
Prime Minister.
Well, can I join him on wishing Wales well and Northern Ireland? I'd like to see all 4 nations in the finals.
Oh, there you go. There's your answer, Chatty Rat. See, he mentions all 4 nations there.
But look, he raises the really important issue of suicide, and it's Men's Health Day, and it is really important. And I think the whole House would want to work together on anything that can prevent suicide. I think if all of us think about individuals we may know who lost their lives through suicide, it's something that touches almost every one of us and all of our families as well. We will, of course, look at the link between suicide and gambling and take whatever measures we can to reduce suicide. It's a very important issue.
Sir David.
For his reply, and we look forward to the government coming forward with action on that. On another domestic matter, Mr. Speaker, next to the River Cherwell in Oxfordshire, a field is now covered in an enormous mound of rubbish, 150 metres long and up to 12 metres high. The water is now lapping against the waste and carrying it into the river. It's just one of many sites, Mr. Speaker, where organised criminal gangs are illegally dumping their waste onto our countryside and getting away with it. This is a shocking environmental emergency. So will he instruct the Environment Agency to clean it up now?
I don't know what the government is doing to tackle this, and here's my we saw the video on Monday. We saw the video clip of it on Monday. It's a very I'm not quite sure how the government can respond to this, because, and I don't mean the cleanup. The cleanup can be done. What I mean is that how do we stop them dumping in the first place? What is the solution to stopping this? And this, I don't have an honest answer of how to deal with this, because it's so easy for them to go in the middle of the night and dump it in a field and whatnot. Because you're not going to, unless you start sticking cameras everywhere in certain sites, I suppose. But that all costs money, and it costs money to maintain as well. So I'm struggling to think what is a solution to stopping this happening in the first place.
Firstly, these are utterly appalling scenes. Utterly appalling. A criminal investigation, as he knows, is underway, and specialist officers are tracking down those responsible. The Environmental Agency, in answer to his question, will use all available powers to make sure that the perpetrators cover the cost of the clean-up, which must now follow. We have boosted the Environment Agency's budget for tackling waste crime by 50%, given councils new powers to seize and crush fly tippers' vehicles, and lawbreakers can now face up to 5 years in jail.
Dominic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Immigration is the #1 issue on doorsteps of Bristol North East.
Manufactured. Let me be clear. The word is manufactured.
Most people will ask me about it. They want a firm, but also a fair approach, but have been let down over many years. Controlling our borders and knowing who comes is essential, not least to integration. Mr. Speaker, what can the Prime Minister say to my constituents in Bristol North East that will give them assurance that the reforms that the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary are proposing, which I support, will be firm, but will also be fair?
Prime Minister.
I'm proud, Mr. Speaker, to lead an open, tolerant, generous country. To maintain that principle, we must restore order and control, fix the utterly broken system left by the party opposite, and end the division that others seek to exploit. That does include creating safe and legal routes, recognising those who contribute, integrate and strengthen our society, while at the same time reducing illegal arrivals and removing those with no right to be here. That is a fair, progressive system that meets modern challenges.
I've spoken enough about this. And listen, one of the key things here is that it is a manufactured thing, that immigration is the main culprit, and I will continue to call it the manufactured concern, not legitimate, a manufactured concern. Because if you ask people 10, 15, 20 years ago, was this a concern of people on the doorstep? And the answer is no. The answer is no. This is the manufactured. This whole immigration is manufactured. Okay? It's been manufactured because of what happened with austerity, because of communities being broken up and divided. People are no longer feeling safe. People are worse off. And they are looking for an easy scapegoat, and that is where immigration has come in. That's the main thing. Does the system need reform? Absolutely. And one positive, and I say tiny positive, is that at least there is talk about safe and legal routes. What they are, we don't know, but I need to know what they are, because we on the left and the centre, who actually care about morals and care about human beings and decency, want to know what are those proposals for those to preventing people getting on the boat, for people who want to come and contribute to the UK. What is the safe and legal route for them? Because there's a lot of them who don't have that.
Mr. Speaker, the governments of France, Germany and the United States have all extracted from Libya compensation for their citizens who were affected by Gaddafi-led terrorism across the world. Why, Prime Minister, is the British government continuing to fail United Kingdom citizens who suffered to a huge extent through the importation of arms and, in particular, the tons of Semtex that Gaddafi supplied to the IRA, giving rise to Enniskillen, to Warrington, to the Baltic Exchange and multiple others? Why is no compensation being extracted from Libya for our citizens when it can be done for others? And will the Prime Minister at least meet representatives of the almost forgotten but still campaigning families for those affected by Gaddafi's terrorism?
Well, Prime Minister. So many suffer from Gaddafi, and he's absolutely right to raise this really serious issue, and we're working hard on it. I'll absolutely make sure that the meeting he asks for is set up with the relevant minister, so that we can give the full position and take on board what they have to say.
Luke Charters.
On International Men's Day and in the spirit of Movember, I want to be open about my own past mental health challenges, in the hope that it might encourage other men to do the same. And during the traumatic birth of my first son, I nearly lost my wife, and a dark cloud settled over me. A cloud lifted through conversation and support, and through the safe arrival of my second son, and bright days lie ahead. I'm joined in the gallery today by Mike from York Menfulness, a fantastic charity giving men a place to talk. So will the Prime Minister, as a dad himself, agree with me that strength as a man means being open about our emotions, and that we should never face into challenges on our own?
Well said.
Can I thank him for his honesty? It's never easy to stand up and say what he's just said. And I hope he understands just how important that is for others who will be suffering, who will be inspired to be able to talk openly about their experiences and, importantly, get the help that they need. I'm really proud to publish the first ever men's health strategy today to tackle challenges that disproportionately affect men, including certain cancers and suicide, which is tragically the biggest killer of those men under 50. So we will invest millions in helping more men access mental health support, better care for former minors, and rolling out at-home blood tests to tackle prostate cancer. But I do thank him for speaking out. I think it's so important, it's so brave. It's been done across the House. This isn't a party political issue, but it's always very powerful when it's done, and it's a model for all of us.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given the government's desire to improve educational outcomes and the well-being of our children, it is ignoring the elephant in the room. This morning I hosted a really powerful roundtable with 3 secondary head teachers who spoke about the transformational effect that a complete ban on smartphones in their schools had had. Improved behaviour, increased focus, far fewer safeguarding issues, and most importantly, happier children. But for them it has been really hard won, and it's sunk a huge amount of time. So will the Prime Minister tell me and the thousands of head teachers out there who are crying out for this change why his government won't back them with a ban on smartphones in schools?
Prime Minister.
It just ban them. They don't need it. If teachers need to get in touch with their parents, with their pupils, they have the school number. They know who to call. Let the teachers do their jobs. Too much scepticism. Take the phones away from the child during the school time. Just bloody do it.
I thank her for a question. It's a really important question. I've got teenage children in secondary school, and I know it's an issue of concern to parents and teachers. The reality of the statistics are that the vast majority of schools already ban smartphones at school.
Yes, vast majority, but it's not enforced. Make it a law and just do away with it.
They allow children to bring their phones to schools, but they ban them in school time in lessons. Of course, we will always keep this under review. We've got to take steps that will be effective. I agree with the sentiment of what she's putting to me. We need to deal with it effectively.
Just take it away from them. And I'm sorry, look, I honestly mean this. I really do mean this. Like, you don't need the mobile phone in school. You just don't. I'm sorry. You don't need it. It's affecting them. It does not need to be there.
Andrew Pegs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One of the worst legacies of the last Conservative government was the collapse in apprenticeships for young people in places such as Peterborough, shutting a generation out of opportunity. Mr. Speaker, my city is determined to turn that around, with places like Peterborough College, like many of our colleges, leading the charge. Whilst I welcome the government's reform, I still speak to too many young people who can't access the training they need to rebuild Britain. Will the Prime Minister set out what more we can do together to ensure Peterborough's young people get the good jobs and apprenticeships they deserve?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank him. His dedicated campaign means Peterborough has one of the first youth guarantee pilots in the country. Mr. Speaker, we inherited an awful situation where almost 1 million young people were not earning or learning. We refuse to accept that. That's why we're delivering the new youth guarantee, investing a record £3 billion into apprenticeships and increasing the national minimum wage for 16 to 20-year-olds. Reform and the Tories say the minimum wage is too high. They're totally wrong. We're going to focus on every young person to give them the chance to succeed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Whilst the Labour front bench continue to peddle their own form of dog whistle politics, Reform UK...
The 30p Lee expert.
Reform UK are cracking on with the day job. Our reform-led councils...
How's Kent doing? How's Kent doing? How's Kent doing?
Our reform...
Can I just say, you might say it's the way he tells them, but it might be worse. It's the way I tell them. Lee Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our reform-led councils have already identified savings of over £330 million in the first 6 months. And the Prime Minister may shake his head propped up by these gullible backbenchers, but here's the challenge. Will he ensure that all the cancelled elections from this year and the proposed local elections for next year will go ahead in May 2026? Go on, be a man.
Be a man.
I didn't realise he's quite so good at stand-up comedy. Mr. Speaker, he talks about dog whistle. Last week, his leader said he didn't have time to condemn the racist comments of his fellow MP for Runcorn. He also said he didn't have time to condemn his party calling children in care evil. He didn't have time. I wonder if he can ask his leader next door to him whether he's got time for his explanation for the stories in today's papers.
He should have. You know what? He should have mentioned. He should have mentioned the Reform Council painting the yellow lines outside of a school that has been shut since 2016. He should have put that. That would have made a laughing stock out of Reform Russia.
Mr. Speaker, over the summer, large quantities of illegal cigarettes were seized in shops in my Carlisle constituency. However, many of
I just want to respond to this nonsense comment saying that Russia has been found to have been behind a lot of the small boats, specifically the Wagner Group. I'm not going to... Look, I'm not buying this, that it's all behind Russia, the small boats. The small boats have been happening for a long time. To say that it's just Russia is just not true. There's lots of illegal gangs. It's not specifically Russia and specifically the Wagner Group. Let's be real. This is an opportunity for lots of different gangs. To say it's them there, I'm not going to buy into it that it's just Russia, Mr. Skiersam. Yeah, could they be behind it? Yeah. Is there any evidence to say so? No. Have I heard any evidence to suggest otherwise? No. There's not been any evidence to suggest that Russia is behind it that I've seen.
those shops were reopened the very next day. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that we have to make it easier for these shops to be closed down permanently so we put out of business forever these criminal networks?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank her for raising this? Because there's been a surge in response to illegal shops selling products they shouldn't be selling and not paying their taxes. It's very important. Raids in October, Mr. Speaker, saw over 900 arrests, almost £11 million of criminal profits were seized, and almost £3 million of illegal gear was destroyed. We need to go further to protect our high streets. That's why we're giving councils powers to prevent certain shops from even opening, supporting them to deal with unwanted shops, and through the tobacco and vapes bill, cracking down on rogue retailers who break the law.
Josh Bumble.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Eastbourne resident Pam was given a cheque for £125,000 by her terminally ill partner, which she went on to cash in. But an error by the bank, Barclays, meant that only £125 was deposited.
Wow.
Barclays admitted the error and then said that they will compensate her for £250 for the inconvenience caused. Will the Prime Minister work with me to ensure that Barclays Bank pays Pam the compensation that she needs and deserves? And while we're here, will he commit to imposing a windfall tax on the banks like Barclays on their excess profits to bring bills down for residents struggling?
Prime Minister.
The case of his constituent Pam is staggeringly bad.
That's outrageous.
Absolutely terrible. If he could provide me with the full details of it, I will make sure that the government joins him in doing whatever we can in relation to his constituent. And before I sit down, may I take a moment to send my warmest congratulations to the honourable member on getting engaged, I think, on Thursday. The proposal, I think, was right here in Parliament. You never know what you might find in this dispatch box. But on behalf of my party, and actually I'm sure the whole House, can I wish him and Connor a lifetime of happiness?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
There have been some weird places where people have proposed. You know, people have proposed in some of the weird places in Parliament. People propose in some of the weirdest places, you know. Good afternoon, Scott Hayes.
Crewe railway station is the gateway to the north and indeed the shop window for my constituency, with an average annual footfall of 4.5 million people. I am working with Cheshire East Council on ambitious plans for Crewe 360 to deliver much needed investment into the station and into the land around the station, and we want to adopt the Railway Industry Association's Station Investment Zone proposals, which could deliver much needed improvements in transport, housing, regeneration and economic growth. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that Crewe would make a perfect pilot for these proposals, and will he agree to work with me to bring government departments around the table so that we can make these plans a reality?
Minister.
Well, I thank him for his question. Because of our actions, Mr. Speaker, house building near stations like Crewe will now be a default yes. That means tens of thousands of homes delivered far sooner for families with great transport links as standard. I'll make sure that he meets the relevant ministers to drive forward growth. Every step we've taken to deliver more homes has been opposed by the parties opposite. They're the blockers, Labour are the builders.
Look, again, I've said this before. I really don't have a problem with homes being built next to stations. I understand people's legitimate concerns over it. I really do. But I just want the right homes to be built and not just any homes.
Right, Murdoch. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is an open secret that the gig economy is a magnet for organised crime and illegal workers. As Christmas approaches and demand increases, so do the associated risks. Will the Prime Minister please explain why enforcement in this area is so low and what he will do to restore order?
Well, we're delivering a record crackdown on illegal working in the gig economy, expanding the right to work and facial recognition checks, which are really important. We're also introducing a new criminal offence of trespassing with intent to commit a crime through the Place and Criming Bill.
Mr. Coteau.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Based on their reactions, care or remember, but every day I see the cost to my constituents in Bournemouth West of years of cuts to public services. Youth services gone, neighbourhood policing decimated, no NHS dentist appointments. So can the Prime Minister confirm there will be no return to austerity under this Labour government?
Yeah, but what are we doing to restore these communities? What are we doing to restore them? Because those communities that have been damaged by austerity, what are we doing to make sure that we are rebuilding those communities and funds necessary, so in particular for these communities up and down, not just England, but all 4 nations of the UK, to ensure that we have cohesion amongst each other? Because that will help keep people together and not divide people.
I certainly can, but the austerity that they imposed on the country destroyed our public services, and we're still paying the price. We'll be cutting waiting lists, cutting the debt and cutting the cost of living. Fair choices to secure Britain's future, not a return to the failure of the party opposite.
Jack Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister has expressed sincere regret for appointing David Cogan to the Independent Football Regulator. Will he now put on record the full amount Mr. Cogan has donated to his leadership campaign and his party, any hospitality he's received, and whether he declared these interests before appointing him?
Prime Minister.
They were all declared properly.
Not the amount.
Limber.
Mr. Speaker, this Friday we commemorate the 51st anniversary of the Birmingham pub bombings, in which 21 people lost their lives in what is still the largest unsolved murder in our history. The families do not believe that the approach set out by the government will discover the truth and that only a public inquiry will do. Can we now have the meetings in order to hear the families' concerns direct and agree an approach that will command not just confidence but will find the truth of who bombed Birmingham?
Prime Minister.
Well, can I extend my deepest sympathies remain with the bereaved and survivors of the horrific pub bombing in Birmingham in 1974. We do believe the most appropriate route is through the Independent Commission for Reconciliation and Information Recovery, but Honourable Friend has raised this issue directly with me, and of course I'll make sure that the relevant meeting is set up so that he and the families can put their point of view for us to consider.
Mr.
Speaker, you in the Chamber will be well aware that I represent the biggest and most remote constituency in the UK. And I'm bound to say, Mr. Speaker, that in it, bank branches are becoming rarer than sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. We have no banks at all in the huge county of Solent. Now, we have legislation that provides for access to cash, but what we don't have is legislation that provides for face-to-face banking services. So I'd be deeply grateful if the Prime Minister would ask the Treasury to meet with me to discuss how we might update the Financial Services and Markets Act to include some form of access to cash provision that would preserve face-to-face banking for my constituents and other remote areas.
And this is where there's a 2 side prongs to this here, right? This is where the introduction of the banking hubs that have been spoken about on many occasions here. And my hope is obviously that they can still do that within the banking hubs. But it's terrible that banks have shut down in his area, there, and there's just not been something has come in place of it. And we need those hubs now. We need those hubs set up now. And the banks need to be told to keep their building societies and their branches open until those hubs are set up in those areas. I'm fortunate enough that where I am, that there is a major town centre not too far from where I am. Where I am locally, there's no banks where I am. There used to be, they're all gone. But I can get a bus or walk half an hour or so to the town centre. I know there'll be one there. But I'm fortunate enough where I am. But there'll be lots of people in certain areas and where he's spoken of where there's nothing. And for a lot of older people who don't use email, who don't use access to the internet, because there are still people out there who still don't, it's very important for them to have that face-to-face interactions with their banks. And that's we are not at a point where everyone, we're not at that point yet. We're close to that point, but we're not at that point where everyone in society can use the internet and banking. Not everyone is at that point. There are still people out there who generally cannot use it and still need that face-to-face. And it's very, very important that we still have that now.
Mr. Speaker, I know how important face-to-face banking is to local communities. As he knows, we're rolling out banking hubs. Decisions over location are taken independently, but they should be rolled out wherever there is a need for one. And of course, there's more to come. I will, in answer to his question, make sure that he gets the meeting that he requests so that we can have a look at the proposal.
Afzal Khan.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the Prime Minister is aware, November marks Islamophobia Awareness Month. This Labour government has shown a steadfast commitment to supporting Muslim communities, particularly through consulting on the definition of Islamophobia. Given anti-Muslim hate is at record levels in the UK, can the Prime Minister outline the steps this government will take to tackle a rising level of racism, xenophobia against the Muslims in Britain?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for raising this important issue? He's always been a strong champion on this. Anti-Muslim hatred is abhorrent, Mr. Speaker, and has no place in our society. And the increase in incidents must be addressed. It's why we're increasing funding to protect mosques and Muslim faith schools across the country. It's why we've announced a new fund to monitor anti-Muslim hatred and support victims. And we continue to work on the definition of anti-Muslim hatred.
I would.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Everyone who cares about media independence and freedom will be relieved that Redbird have recognised that they cannot run the Telegraph. But there are serious concerns that they will burden the paper with unsustainable debt if the title is sold for less than £500 million. So, will the Prime Minister step in to prevent this from happening and enable a sale at a lower price if necessary, without this toxic debt burden?
No, they're a media organisation. It's their own fault they're in debt. I'm sorry. Like, I'm all for protecting jobs and businesses, but we're talking about a media outlet here. I don't think they should step in at all.
Prime Minister.
Well, he raises a serious issue. I'm not quite sure what he's asking the government to do. To step in and nationalise it, I don't think would be the right thing.
Like,
Whereas, Mr. Speaker, on the 5th...
What was the point of the question? What was he asking for? Like, the government aren't going to step in and, as he said, nationalise it. What was the point of bringing up that story? Who does it benefit? How does this benefit the Telegraph? What, like, I'm sorry, like, if you want to protect the Telegraph, put your own bloody money in it. You Tories have got money. Jesus Christ.
5th of March, at the dispatch box, the Prime Minister said these words: "We do recognise Cornish national minority status, not just the proud language, the history and the culture of Cornwall, but its bright future. Since then, I've repeatedly asked ministers for Cornwall's unique place on this island to be recognised through devolution. When the devolution bill comes back to the House next week, will the Prime Minister help me explicitly enshrine Cornish devolution and Cornish national minority status in that bill?"
Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for his question? Of course, he has raised this issue with me on a number of occasions already. He's a great champion for Cornwall. We will ensure that Cornwall's national minority status is safeguarded in any future devolution arrangements. we have provided £500,000 to support distinctive Cornish culture, including the Cornish language.
Sir David Dennis.
The Prime Minister knows that last week 9 four-star generals made plain that yesterday's Northern Ireland bill is doing harm to the British Army already. Most acute damage is being felt by the Special Air Service. It's already affecting their recruitment, their retention, their morale and their operational effectiveness. As a result, lawyers acting for the SAS Regimental Association have sent a letter before action to the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. I know of no precedent for this in the entire history of the British Army, and it's because it's so important. It reflects how important it is. So can I make a plea to the Prime Minister? Will he involve himself personally to make sure that 60, 70, 80-year-old soldiers who have carried out actions which most of us would view as heroic are not persecuted in the coming years? Because now it's a matter not of national security, but of national honour.
Can I thank him for his question and reassure him on the protections that he seeks for veterans, because it is a very important issue and he's continually and rightly raised it. There will be protection from repeat investigations, so the Commission doesn't go over old ground without compelling reasons. There will be protection from cold calling and protection in old age, so that elderly veterans are respected. And those who do contribute to the legacy process will have a right to anonymity, a right to stay at home to give evidence remotely, and a right to be heard through the Commission. That is the work that we're doing, and I'm happy to discuss it further with him.
To end on the subject, no doubt we can expect is Scotland's victory total correct.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When the Prime Minister next meets with the President of the United States, can he ask him if he knows any reasonably priced hotels near the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, where the World Cup final is to be held? And as we are about to provide the biggest boost to whisky exports since our trade deal was signed, can he ask the Chancellor to gently consider excise duties next week so we Scots can continue celebrating at reasonable prices?
Prime Minister. I thank him for his question. On the question of whisky, it is important that we do everything we can to support whisky. I'm really pleased with the progress we're making with the United States and, of course, with India as well under the trade deal. I'll continue to discuss what more we can do with him.
That completes Prime Minister's questions.
Right, I thought Prime Minister's questions was... It's been a while since I've done one of these, guys, and I thought PMQs was fascinating indeed. I'm absolutely starving for lunch right now, guys. Oh, God. I generally thought, like, PMQs, it was interesting. I thought Ed Davies' questions were really fascinating. I thought there were some really, really good questions from people. I thought Lee Anderson was an absolute joke. Once again, didn't hear from the Green Party, which I'm a bit disappointed in. Some interesting ones from one or two Conservatives, and the most oddly of one there about the Telegraph, which I thought, what the hell was all that about? I thought it was okay. I thought it was an okay PMQs, to be fair there. But I hope, but I've been live since 11 o'clock, guys, and I am starving. I want to go and have lunch, and I still have short videos to record as well, guys. So I've got a lot of work to do between now and 8 o'clock. So I want to say thank you guys all for coming along. Thank you for those who stayed on from the Good Morning Show here into Prime Minister's questions. I really appreciate it. Like I said, next week I will be doing a Good Morning Show at 8 o'clock in the morning and not at 11 o'clock because I will be covering the Prime Minister's questions and the budget. And it's going to be a long-ass day on Wednesday. So I just want to give people a fair warning ahead of time on that. But thank you for those who stuck on, and thank you to those who gave super chats in the Good Morning Show as well. Greatly appreciated, and hopefully you guys will be back later on at 8 o'clock. If not, I'll be back again live tomorrow at 11 a.m. But just before I go, just a reminder before you head out, please hit that like button, share this across social media, subscribe if you haven't already. Do just check out Patreon and Rumble as well. Links for them are down below. Do please check them out, guys. There's additional content on those platforms, not just here on YouTube, but on those platforms separately as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.